Hi, fellow tea lovers. Settle in.
The word is about. There's something evolving.
I'm Nell.
And I'm Rose.
Whatever may come, the world keeps revolving.
We've got a story.
They say the next big thing is here, that the revolution's near. But to me it seems quite clear that it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
We're bringing you the tea.
Across era.
Yes, I've seen it before. Just little bits of history repeating.
Hey guys. Hey y'all.
I'm so excited. I just jumped right in.
Hey y'all. Jump in.
It is once again a lovely, almost rainy, but not quite afternoon
Bro, it's not
here
even.
for us.
I don't know if it's rain or if it's ash.
No, that's true. Okay, for the second month in a row, the same recycling center caught on fire in a neighborhood adjacent to ours, and it's starting to feel a little bit like the Springfield tire fire situation. Like, does this
It
just exist
looked
all the
like
time?
it. I was going into my gym and it's kind of like up in the foothills,
Mhm.
and I just glanced over my shoulder and I was all, what the?
Dude, the first time it happened, we were out at the food hall that's in our neighborhood, meeting up with some friends, and we go outside for a moment, and we'd been in there for less than an hour, and then there was this huge black plume. It was like, well, that's not a great
The air
sign.
quality map right now is like marigold yellow. It looks like the map color looks like the filter you see in action movies when they're like unnamed Middle East / South American location. Let's put a
yeah, when
yellow
everything's
filter
sepia
on
for no
that.
reason. Yeah.
Yes, that's what the air quality map looks like today.
And it's already terrible this time of year because of cottonwood season. Like, you basically
Ugh.
are breathing cotton balls if you go anywhere west of the river.
Yeah, I went whitewater rafting last weekend, and I guess we moved fast enough that the cotton didn't like run straight up my nose as it usually does.
Well, small mercies.
Yep,
Well, it has been a wild week as always.
as always.
I have the nerdiest topic that I need to talk to you about today.
Ooh, talk nerdy to
It
me.
has been burning on my brain for quite a while, and it's really funny that this is a 16th century concept that has come up in day-to-day life so many times in the last few months, especially.
Okay.
So today I would like to talk to you about maps in general, but specifically the Mercator projection.
The Mercator projection. So that's a map.
So it's a type of map. And so the Mercator projection, and we're going to get all into it,
Okay.
but it is currently the most used version of the world map in the world. It's ideal for a lot of purposes, and it's really unideal for other purposes.
Oh,
And I've just had a lot of conversations lately where I was like, I'm having difficulty explaining this, but I feel very strongly about it. So
is it like the flat map that hangs on the wall?
yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because you can see a globe behind you, and the globe still, remains the most accurate. To accurately represent a sphere on a flat, you're always going to have to make some compromises.
Okay.
And we decide to go with a little bit of imprecision in some areas to have better precision in others, much like equal temperament, which we're definitely going to talk about someday. I'm not running you through that rabbit hole at the moment, but it's sort of the piano version of that.
Do you want to hear something wild?
Always.
In my mind, a globe, like the way continents in the world looks on a globe, is exactly the same as it is on a flat map.
Could not be more different.
And now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, I agree. But like just generally, like when my mind computes them, and maybe it's because I know that a flat map is distorted, and I hate the flat map that has like the spiky things at the bottom.
That's actually what you create in order to make a globe.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a flat that's a literal flat globe.
Yeah,
That's
like
the
when
most
you unpeel a globe. But I hate how that looks.
Mm.
So, and I think my brain just like squishes them together.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I didn't realize that until now.
And there's always, always, always an XKCD for everything.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just going to read a little bit of the text of this. XKCD is, if you have not encountered it, we've definitely talked about it here before.
Yes.
Randall Munroe is a former scientist, now cartoonist. He is one of the smartest, funniest people I've ever encountered. And his comic, XKCD, is literally relevant to every situation. So
And it's not like Exkayceedee.
Oh yeah, just
It's
the letter.
literally like the letters X, K,
I'm trying to
whatever.
I'm trying to see if I can
I
remember
forgot.
my native phonetic. It's been that long, huh?
I'm all E like egret. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, Z xylophone, K king, C.
One time I told someone P
Nope.
like phone.
The things people will make up on the phones when they're trying to do native phonetic was just like they were wild
Is
sometimes.
native phonetic like the military one?
Yes, so that's the official A alpha B Bravo.
Oh yeah, my mom has something like that taped beside her desk, and I didn't realize what it was for until an embarrassingly short time ago.
When I worked my previous job, there were people that were so used to it that they would just say the words, which is correct, but
Oh,
I
and
was
they're
not
like
at all prepared for
alpha,
that.
beta, catnip, whatever.
King, edit, lettuce, like I'm like
I'm sorry, are you okay?
But so this is XKCD comic number 977, and
Oh.
it's what your favorite map projection says about you.
Ooh.
So for Mercator projections, you're just really not into maps. For Vandergrinten, you're not a complicated person. You love the Mercator projection. You just wish it wasn't a square. The Earth's not a square, it's a circle. You like circles. Today's going to be a great day. So I'll let y'all read the rest
So
of it.
is Vandergrinten the same as a... Oops.
Sorry.
If you heard my chapstick hit the floor as it did the last time we recorded.
I have extras again. I read up.
This is the extra.
I know, I'm just saying.
Oh,
if that
okay.
happens to enter the deep lost like your last one, I'm prepared.
Is the Vandergrinten this? It's a globe.
It's the Mercator, but circular.
That's weird. Okay.
I'll let y'all read the rest of them, but this is hilarious. And
Excuse me, some of those are made up.
No, they're not. All of these are actual map projections. The thing is, there's 1, 2, 3,
What the heck is a
7, 8,
Dymaxion?
9, 10, 11. There's 12 versions here.
Okay, the globe's my favorite. What does that say about me? Real quick.
A globe. Yes, you're very clever.
Womp womp.
I think probably my favorite on here is the Waterman butterfly, which kind of looks a little bit like the flattened, spiky proto globe that we were talking about. Like,
It looks
really?
like someone unpeeled an orange.
Really? You know the Waterman? Have you seen the 1909 Cahill map it's based on? You have a framed reproduction at home? Listen, forget these questions. Are you doing anything tonight?
No, I don't like that one at all.
He's smart enough to make cartography jokes that I still find hilarious, even though I am not personally a cartographer.
My mom sometimes sends me like insurance jokes. I love you, Mom, but I'm all, I don't really get this.
My favorite insurance joke was the Wizard of Id. This guy's trying to sell the king life insurance, and so he's explaining it.
Oh.
He's like, wait, so what is this thing again? He's like, well, basically, we bet you that you're going to live long enough to give us more money than we have to give your descendants after you die. And the king's like, well, what if I die young? He goes, you win.
See, my favorite joke related to my job is, what do you get when you cross a cow and an octopus?
Oh, I know this one.
Immediate withdrawal of your funding and a visit from the ethics committee. And if you don't work in our job, it's not that funny.
But it's pretty funny.
It's hilarious. I keep trying to put it in the weekly newsletter.
So the point of this was to try and explain what the Mercator projection is, why we use it, why it was invented, and why we almost didn't.
Okay.
So it's a 16th century navigation technique, and it is still used for Google Maps today.
Oh.
So the Mercator is a type of map that is optimized for navigation rather than actual scale size. So that's where we've made the compromise, because we want it to be very, very accurate for navigation. So we've decided we'll put up with a little bit of imprecision about visual sizing, because it still does the thing that we need it to do.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we use it for Google? I mean, like, who's
Well, I'll get there.
navigating?
Oh, I'll get there for you.
Okay. Okay. I'm all imagining me in my boat.
Right? So in terms of navigation, it's a lot more important to have accurate travel lines between one point and another than it is to have accurate landmass sizes, because really you're concerned with the coast.
Fair.
And that's definitely a product of coastal navigation being one of our most ancient types of navigation.
Okay.
Losing sight of the shore is terrifying. So,
Yeah, I watched Vikings.
yeah. Because of the modern use of this type of chart, we have a really skewed idea of the size of Earth's various landmasses. And it's problematic for a variety of reasons, but it's been specifically problematic because so many people have a very skewed idea of the size of Greenland. And whoever thought that we would be having debates over whether or not Greenland belongs to someone other than themselves? It's
Is Greenland bigger or smaller than Antarctica? Because on a flat map, Antarctica looks gigantuous.
Oh, the one that I looked at was Africa. It's 16 times smaller than Africa.
Okay, so Africa's
But
still big.
Antarctica, no, but I want to know now.
How many Titanics is it? I'm just kidding. On a podcast I listened to, National Park After Dark,
Mhm.
it started off as like a silly joke, and now it's a thing where they're like, and that would be 783 Titanics long.
So Greenland is about I'd say maybe 4 times smaller than Antarctica because it's this comparison right here.
Okay, I have
They
a
look
question,
very similar on them.
and maybe I'm not. Who thought Greenland was so big?
Basically, anybody that has glanced at, learned from, or internalized a Mercator projection.
Okay, that's fair. I'm
Mhm.
like having flashbacks to elementary school, and I'm like, oh yeah, it did look big up there.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's become so relevant because people have an outsized idea of the influence of that landmass because it looks wildly significant.
I know about it
we'll get
because I'm obsessed with polar bears.
there. Polar bears are adorable and terrifying in equal measure, and we need more things like that.
Do you know there's Pisleys and Growler bears? And it's when
Okay, yeah.
a grizzly and a polar bear mate, but like they get called one or the other depending on who's the mom and who's the dad, and I can't remember it off the top
Oh,
of my head.
Pisley's amazing. I don't know why you wouldn't call them all Pisleys.
Agree.
So I want to start with a really brief history of Western nautical navigation,
Okay.
only because it helps to explain a lot of the terminology and it just kind of it shows where we started with this. And I am
Okay.
going to my expertise is in Western history, so I'm not skipping any other traditions on purpose. I'm just
How dare
speaking
you
to
not
my
tell me
strengths.
about Southern Pacific navigation?
It does come up.
Oh,
So I want to talk mostly about nautical charts because it's the most related here, and we're going to avoid getting down the entire cartography rabbit hole because there are some really interesting things that are not at all navigationally related.
okay.
But so early navigation was often contained in the heads of experienced sailors. It was oral tradition,
Yeah.
and there's never a replacement for a sailor that knows the area that you wanted to travel in. So passing that oral tradition on does result in written handbooks, but of course those are reliant on literacy, which in the ancient world, especially in shipping and trade, you can't assume that. And so
Right.
they're not books were not the only thing that navigators relied on to pass their knowledge on, but it was a really important tool. So you have something called Ruder books. They're handbooks of written sailing directions that are used to not only pass on information but to collect information. So the older your Ruder book is and the fuller your Ruder book is, the more experienced you are, the better you are at your job and the better you are at getting jobs.
Okay.
Ancient navigation books were known as periplus.
Periplus.
It just sounds cute.
It does.
In classical antiquity, these read more like travel logs. They celebrated the stories of voyages while listing ports, landmarks, and distances between them.
Okay.
Again, usually along a particular coast because you're doing coastal visual sailing almost exclusively. When you're crossing the Mediterranean, you are having to use more navigation, but it's more contained. Like you will hit land eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Coastal navigation was the safest, it's the most common trade route. The end of classical antiquity, it's not a solid date, but it's often marked by the fall of the Western Roman Empire around 476 AD. And that's when you see a marked downturn in exploration and maritime trade because of the upheaval that was happening on the European continent in between the fall of the Western Roman Empire and sort of the slow rise of medieval cultures.
Okay.
That's what was traditionally named like the quote unquote Dark Ages, which I hate the term, but it was a very chaotic time that just didn't lend itself towards more
Like there wasn't a lot of, like I couldn't tell
creative
you.
pursuits.
Yeah. Inventions. I don't know what was happening during that time. I don't know pretty much anything between 1 and, I don't know, 1300.
Yeah, it's a knowledge gap that I think a lot of us have because it doesn't have those like singular pinpoints of history that will always show up in a
The Bronze Age.
Right. Yeah. It's an educational hole I just said that.
That's okay.
Sorry. So Mediterranean nautical trade dropped off significantly during this after this period, and then reemerges in the 12th to 13th centuries.
Okay.
So when nautical exploration is becoming more frequent, this is when we see something called portolan books, or Port-Alen charts. So Port-Alen books functioned in a similar way to the Ruder books and the Periplus books, but skips the sort of narrative part of the story that the more ancient examples had. It also leads to something called Port-Alen charts. So what's interesting about a Port-Alen chart, it charts a coastal area with what's called windrose lines between ports. And a good example of this, because I'm sitting here gesturing like y'all can see me, is I have this book on my desk, the Penguin Atlas of Medieval History, which is very old and probably out of date, but has this lovely map on the cover that shows what a windrose line looks like. It's a spiderweb network of the angles that you would need to start at from each port in order to land at the port that's across from it. So that's what a Port-Alen chart accomplishes.
That's so interesting.
And what's even more interesting about these charts is that their creation tradition is really not known. There aren't any early examples of Port-Alen charts where they were kind of figuring it out.
Oh.
The only examples that we have are extremely fleshed out. They're extremely professional, and they're clearly based on earlier traditions that didn't survive.
Huh.
But they are wildly interesting and actually understudied. There's still currently a lot that we could learn from Port-Alen charts. But in their sailing instructions, Port-Alen charts distinguished between various types of routes, and this is quoting Wikipedia a little bit.
Okay.
In their sailing instructions, medieval Port-Alen charts distinguished between various types of routes, such as per staria, coastal areas, per pelagio, open sea sailing between 2 points, things like that. Port-Alen handbooks express their sailing directions in terms of compass rose points and distances. So those are those port points that we were talking about. And so that is what creates what's called a windrose line, which is those networks of directionality between 2 ports.
Okay.
So the longer the space gets between the 2 things that you're trying to measure distances for, the more you have to account for the curvature of the Earth.
Okay.
There's a certain point where you can no longer draw a straight line between 2 points. Sorry, flat earthers. Shouldn't.
Right. Well, it's like when you're flying in a plane, you don't go in a straight line.
Right.
You're all, oh, weird, I'm flying up.
You're going in an arc.
Yeah.
So what that creates with the windrose lines is essentially you go in a straight line for a little while, you have to readjust. You go in a straight line for a little while, you have to readjust. And so you end up with these sort of like segmented curve straight line arrangements.
Okay.
That once you're losing sight of landmarks, you're really dependent on a magnetic compass or a sextant. So a magnetic compass was very new technology and not at all 100% reliable. It's not even 100% reliable now without adjustment calculations.
Right.
A sextant is most useful in the northern hemisphere because you can use the North Star to align yourself with, a sextant is basically an optical tool that allows you to assess where north is based on the North Star and your positioning.
So it only works at night?
It only works at night and only works in the northern hemisphere.
Yes.
Polaris is not visible in the southern hemisphere. There are workarounds for that, but they're much more complex.
Okay.
So all of that to say is it is extremely complicated to chart a route with these limited tools. Windrose lines rely on being able to maintain one's direction or bearing while moving from one point to another, but it also doesn't take into account changes in wind, changes in weather, changes in the current. Your bearing always has to be recalculated.
Okay.
So windrose lines, they can't be relied on when you're talking about like something like a transatlantic crossing or even crossing the Mediterranean to a point. So what do we need? We need a Gerardus.
A Gerardus. I know him.
So Gerardus Mercator was a Flemish, now known as Belgian, cartographer born in 1512. He was a traditional Renaissance man, as in he knew how to do so much.
Oh.
So a little quote from Britannica. By the time he was 24, Mercator was a superb engraver, an outstanding calligrapher, and a highly skilled scientific instrument maker. In 1535 to 36, he cooperated with Myrica and Frisius in constructing a terrestrial globe, and in 1537, its celestial counterpart.
Wow.
These globes demonstrate the free and graceful italic lettering with which Mercator was to change the face of 16th century maps. So that beautiful spidery writing that you see on almost every map you've ever encountered, his fault.
Interesting.
So during that period, he also began to build his reputation as the foremost geographer of the century with a series of printed cartographic works. In 1537, a map of Palestine. In 1538, a map of the world on a double heart-shaped projection. And in about 1540, a map of Flanders. He's also credited with the first world atlas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And of course, like any good 16th century scientist, he was arrested and imprisoned on charges of heresy in 1544. Joined the Pantheon.
Yup.
Thankfully, the authorities at Leuven, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Leuven. Thankfully, the authorities at Leuven University, his employer at the time, stood behind him, and the charges were eventually resolved.
Yay.
His globes were considered the finest that you could buy. They were so popular that there are actually quite a few still in existence.
Oh, wow.
So in 1569, Mercator solved the problem of navigating around the globe using a flat map. His solution to this problem was the projection that accurately portrayed curved navigation lines, or rhumb lines, R-H-U-M-B, on a flat portable surface suitable for use on a ship.
Okay.
The original title of the Mercator projection was Nova et Acta Terrae de Scipio ed Usum Navigatium Emendata, and I apologize for my
Absolutely
Latin
not. That is
pronunciation.
way too long.
Translates to a new and improved map of the Earth, corrected for sailors.
Wow. No.
So the best explanation that I've seen of how the Mercator projection works, this is an article by Andre Egeli, apologies if I've butchered your name, with atlas.co. So I'm going to quote a little bit of this now. So what is the Mercator projection? The Mercator projection, like all map projections, is a method of showcasing our three-dimensional Earth on a two-dimensional surface. Imagine you have a light bulb inside of a globe and a big piece of paper wrapped around it. As you shine a light from the center, the countries would cast shadows on the paper. If you unroll this paper, you'd essentially have a Mercator projection.
Ah.
Sounds simple, right? But the genius lies in the way it handles angles. The magic of the Mercator projection is that it preserves all the angles. That means if two streets intersect at a 90-degree angle on the map, they also do so in real life. This property is called conformality. However, while these angles remain true, the Mercator projection compromises in size of countries, especially as we move away from the equator. So the further from the equator, the bigger countries appear on the map. That's why on many maps, Greenland looks similar to Africa, Alaska similar to Australia, and Antarctica looks like a big frozen wasteland.
Yep.
The Mercator projection balances the delicate act of making a round Earth fit on a flat map while keeping the geometry on point. The result is a map that's useful for many navigational and digital applications. Fast forward to today, the Mercator projection is still incredibly relevant, although its use has evolved. Now it has found a new home in the world of digital mapping. So this is Google Maps.
Okay.
Online mapping services like Google Maps, Bing Maps, and Mapbox use this projection because of its unique characteristics. Its ability to maintain accurate angles helps provide consistent maps at all zoom levels. So that's the important part. It's consistent at all zooms.
Okay.
So when you zoom in and out on a digital map, it's the Mercator projection working behind the scenes that maintains the true shape and angles of the roads, coastlines, and buildings.
Oh, interesting.
Now, while the Mercator projection sounds pretty neat, it's not without its critics. After all, when it comes to representing our round world on a flat surface, something's got to give, right? The issue at the center of this debate is, and he puts this in quotes, distortion, which it's distortion. What does distortion mean? Well, in this case, it's about the Mercator projection making places, particularly countries far from the equator, look way bigger than they really are. That's why Greenland can look as big as Africa on some maps, even though in reality Africa is about 14 times bigger.
Yeah, I mean, Africa is chock full of countries, so that makes sense.
Yeah. And it isn't just about size. The exaggeration can affect how we see population and resources. Countries closer to the poles seem to have more space on the map than they actually do, while places nearer the equator can appear smaller. And this can sometimes give us the wrong impression about different parts of our world. Another criticism is a Eurocentric bias. Because Europe is towards the top of the map, it appears larger than it really is, which can favor a more European-centered view of the world. But it's important to remember that every map projection, including the Mercator, has its pros and cons. While researchers and cartographers continue to develop new mapping techniques, the debate around the use of the Mercator projection and its distortions continues to be a hot topic of discussion in the world of cartography.
It's interesting thinking about that. Like, one day we'll probably have some technique where it's perfectly represented on a flat surface without those stupid jagged points at the top and bottom.
There are always creative minds at work on the problem. I have no doubt that we'll find something better. But to be honest, something that holds for 500 years is difficult to improve upon.
Absolutely.
I think it's just important. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with using the projection at all. It's obviously the correct navigational tool for GPS especially. But I think that not talking about the distortions or not believing in the distortions, depending on who you're talking to, that hampers it a lot. That's what makes it feel like predatory technology. Like,
Right.
we've had this conversation a lot. Like, I think a lot of people get the impression that I'm anti-technology. I love technology. I think that technology does so many things for us. I am against predatory technology.
Right.
That's misapplied technology.
And also, some technology, it's not making us dumber, but
It's removing the need for critical thinking.
yeah. Like,
It's
I'm like,
dangerous.
well, yeah, because in my mind, a flat map and a globe are the same. But I guess that's because I learned that at some point, like there's distortions.
Well, I think some people would say, well, why does it matter? It's just a weird, nerdy, niche topic. Well, it does matter when you have someone that is convinced that a particular strip of land lies between two others and thus is a security risk not to own, when that isn't the case. It just looks that way because of our navigational maps.
Are you allegedly talking about this administration?
I have no idea what you're talking about, dear. There are some really cool tools out there to actually to help to visualize it, and they're almost like games. I sat and played with this for a couple of minutes today, I'm not gonna lie. So the first one, and side note, I didn't realize boingboing.net was still a thing. It was just this interesting stuff aggregate blog that, like they used to exist a lot more. Like, do you remember Stumble Upon?
Mm-hmm.
You just hit the random button, it takes you to the fun for the day. So Boing Boing, it was a really cool place to find like interesting scientific articles and just funny, smart things.
Okay.
That still exists. I didn't realize. So boingboing.net. I only took a cursory glance, so I hope you're not up to anything nefarious, but I think we're okay. So these were both on Boing Boing, but I will we're gonna put the links to these on our website as well, because these are just like so much fun. All right, so the first tool it's called the Mercator Puzzle Redux, and it's a GitHub creation. It kind of feels like those games you play at Thanksgiving where everybody tries to name all the states.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is a puzzle that gives you shapes of various countries on a Mercator projection. And you have to figure out where each country goes on the map. But as you drag it around, it changes size relative to the Mercator projection. So if the US was as far from the equator as Antarctica is, it would look like that.
I like big butts in a can out loud. The U.S. has changed shape, and now it looks like a large bootied insect.
Right, Florida's just gone. So I'm gonna feel good about myself and put this one down because I know the shape. But say this tiny little dot right here. Oops, which one? Here's that teeny dot that only even gets that big. And the nice thing about this is, I mean, I have no idea of a lot of countries based on
Italy?
shape. I don't think I'm alone in that. If you double click, it'll place it for you and then judge you a little bit. But that's kind of the way of most games.
Where did that go?
That was Lebanon.
Oh, yep.
I had no idea of the shape of Lebanon. This is an amazing way to kind of just visualize
Yeah, that's wild.
like how it changes.
Looking
when you
at
move
that, I
it.
can see why Greenland looks big. Greenland looks like the size of Africa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a uterus.
So you're welcome for the time waster, but also there is a second one called Mercator Extreme by Drew Roos.
Okay.
And this one's actually why I went over to the big screen, because this is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen.
Oh.
It is a changeable map that allows you to set the location of the North Pole acting area in a Mercator projection. So the North Pole is the center on the globe, on the
Yeah.
Mercator projection. It isn't necessarily at top of anything. We've just decided that it's the top.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you were to make, say, Boston the top, you would get this.
Boston's bigger than the rest of the USA.
Now, say we put, I don't
Boston.
know, Albuquerque, New Mexico as the center of the universe. I don't know where I got that idea. It does a gorgeous little flipsaroo,
Whoa.
and it's a whole different world.
What if it's Hawaii?
Let's see. That's a whole lot of ocean.
Wow. What if it's Kenya? Oh, wow.
Isn't that fantabulous?
Wow, that's wild. So this is a really good visualization tool. Y'all got to go play with this, obviously.
And again, we're going to link this on your website. We're going to link this on our website. And thank you again to Drew Roos. I don't know you, but I like your skills, sir.
Yeah, that's cool. Here's a game I like. Why is it, and this came up with like the research thing with Africa. Let's name some countries in Africa. Here's what I can come up with off the top of my head.
Egypt, South Africa,
Uganda, Ghana, Kenya.
Democratic Republic of Congo, although
Yep.
I don't believe I've gotten that specifically right. I think the name has changed a little.
Well, there's that, and there's Congo, I
And there's
believe.
Congo.
Somalia, Morocco.
Oh, we're terrible at this game. That's true of any
But I feel
continent, I
like
think.
we've just named more than a lot of people could name.
It's fair. And
Ethiopia.
as it's never about what you don't know. It's about what you're willing to learn.
Yeah.
If you're willing to observe and absorb, there's so much world out there.
I think I would probably get the least amount in South America.
Oh, we were doing this before we started recording. I was just as miserable at it.
Brazil,
Peru,
Venezuela,
Belize.
Uruguay, Paraguay, I think.
It's a little bit upsetting to realize how many countries I know exclusively because of a Simpsons joke. Huh.
And then I'm like, well, the Asian content, I'm like, I don't know. North America content's easy because number one, I live there. Number two, there's not that many.
So I think ultimately we're not trying to knowledge shame. We're trying to knowledge share. It's not about what you
Yeah.
don't know. Again, it's about what you're willing to learn. And it's really, really about taking our history responsibly.
Yes, do it. So I probably said this before. I get like 45 minutes of social media a week.
Mhm.
And wouldn't you know, on Instagram comes up some dudes filming downtown Albuquerque, and they're asking people on the street, okay, provided that's where all the bars are at night, so
Yeah.
skewed. But they're asking people like to name things like the governor and the
Mhm.
mayor, and people were failing miserably.
Oh,
Don't be proud of yourself for doing that. Know a few things, y'all.
know what you don't know.
Yeah, and if you don't know, just be like, that's interesting. I don't know, but then you better learn it.
And in terms of maps and projections, does continent size really matter? If it does, are you sure you're not projecting?
I was gonna say she just did the CSI Miami thing. That was amazing.
I stole that from Randall Monroe. If you hover over an XKCD comic, it makes an extra joke for you. FYI.
I didn't know that.
Thank you for listening to our ramblings.
Yeah, learn about your maps.
And as always, history responsibly.
Responsibly.